Seriously, I wish I would have thought of it myself. This is a fucking genius book. Okay. So it looks like we're live. Let me just verify. Um,
Hello world.
you said hello world?
Hello world.
Nobody's watching. They'll watch the replay. They'll watch the replay. Okay, yes, we are live. So let me just mute my video so that I don't have a feedback loop. And yeah, hey, what's up, everyone? Thank you so much for being here. My name is Jeanette, also known as Jeanette. Just everybody calls me Jeanette. But I do have a channel called MsFitVegan. And today I'm here with a really special guest. His name is Ronnie. And Ronnie is going to talk
Hello everyone.
today. Ronnie's going to talk today about raw vegan myths, and we're going to debunk them because there's so much misinformation in the world today that if you Google, dangers of eating an apple, you'll find the dangers of eating an apple. Okay. It's a very scary time right now where anybody can just put any information they want online. So, welcome, Ronnie. Thank you for being here. And how are you doing today?
Yeah, thank you. I'm doing really well. I want to say that although the topic is like raw vegan myths, I think you could more broadly say like alternative health myths, or things that people that look for alternatives to conventional medicine are finding all these different weird ideas. And yeah, the raw vegans as well are interested in these things, but it's probably more broad than that. But I'm doing great today. I feel good. I ate a lot of tomatoes today, maybe too many, but apart from that, everything's good.
I was just going to ask you, first of all, please tell my viewers a little bit about yourself. And yeah, I would love to know a typical day in the life of how you eat before we get started, so all my people can know what the hell you're doing over there in the UK.
Yeah, my name's Ronnie Smith. I live in Scotland, in Glasgow, Scotland, and I uh, got interested in the vegan diet and the raw vegan diet about 10, 11 years ago. Well, probably about 10 years ago. And for some reason, the raw vegan diet, the whole idea really grabbed my attention. I'd always been trying to stay healthier, and it always made sense to me because being healthier felt good. So I always tried to go towards healthier things, and gradually changed my diet, made experiments, and when I found out about this, I thought to myself, well, what would it be like if instead of making these gradual changes and every now and again doing healthier things, what if you just ate the healthiest foods possible all the time? Like, what would your life be like? So that really intrigued me, and I thought, what could happen? I ended up going to events around the world, such as the Woodstock Fruit Festival, and that really inspired me. And I started to learn more deeply about the topic and about health and nutrition. And then that led to me trying to gather friends together, and that kind of led to a bigger event, which became a bigger festival. And we're still trying to keep that festival going, and we'll be happening this year. That's called the UK Fruit Fest, and there's information about that at fruitfest.co.uk. And I also just put out content and like the podcast interviews and stuff. I'm still really interested in this whole topic, and I like sharing it with people. I guess I feel like it's a bit of a mission to get this message out to other people, and kind of it feels like almost a bit selfish not to, when you've got this amazing information and lifestyle that can really transform people's lives. It feels like it's probably a good thing to try and share it with others in any way you can. So yeah, just trying to keep on figuring out how to pass this message on to other people. And outside of that, I'm a musician. I like music. I've always played guitar, written songs and stuff like that. And um, yeah, I do a bit of martial arts and try and stay fit, I guess, a little bit.
You do
Not as fit
martial
as
art?
you. Yeah, I do a martial art called Aikido. Uh, I do that. I'm interested in sort of that stuff, and the meditation side of that as well. So all of that, I think, is quite good for your mind and everything. And I'm quite a spiritual person, I would say, in some ways. But Aikido's not like a fight. We're not like fight. I don't do punching and kicking and all that stuff. I'm not doing that.
It
Choking
sounds
people.
like
I don't.
you're saying you're keto. It sounds like you're Aikido, like I robot.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know. Aikido. Yeah, that's probably my accent, but yeah, it's a pretty cool martial art. I mean, I like it. It's a bit confusing to a lot of people, but it's very uh, interesting to me. So I keep going to that. It's not very
I
good
love
for
it.
fitness, I would say, the type I do anyway. It's not a big fitness thing, but it's interesting.
How do you spell it, Ronnie? Because I want to look it up and I really don't understand what you're saying.
Aikido.
Okay, I'm gonna look it up. I
Aikido.
never heard of it.
Have you ever heard of the word ki or chi? You know that word chi or ki?
Oh, like Qigong. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's the middle word there, ki with Japanese. Do is like the way. So like judo is the way of the yielding way or something, or the gentle way. Um, and then AI is like sort of harmony or love or something. So it's like the way of harmonizing with universal energy is kind of sort of what the English version is a little bit. But maybe that's not what it means, but it's kind of, some people say that's about using the other person's energy against them or sort of blending with their energy and all this stuff. I don't know. It's quite interesting anyway, and I enjoy it.
I love it. I love it. Thank you so much, Ronnie. And Ronnie also has an amazing weekly event where it's called Fruity Fridays, and you can join him for free and have a discussions with some of the top um, doctors, influencers, and people in the healthy raw vegan movement. And that's every single Friday. Where can people sign up for that? Because that's really valuable.
Yeah, that's a good question. I think that probably if you go to fruitfest.co.uk/Fruity Friday, the link is there for the Zoom link. And then to actually get on like the email list to get the messages, probably just go to fruitfest.co.uk and join the mailing list there, and you'll get an email about it, which
Okay,
might
perfect. And now let's give people a chance to see if they want to go. Okay, because we're just like, you can join Ronnie, but who maybe some people on earth have never heard of Ronnie. So, okay, guys, Ronnie is like, I would call him an expert in this field of healthy raw veganism. Okay, because not every raw vegan is healthy. You can be a very unhealthy raw vegan for sure. And so I consider Ronnie one of the experts on the topic. And he wrote a book called, I believe it's called Debunking Myths, right? Raw Vegan Myths Debunked.
Yeah.
And I loved this book. It's such a original topic. I've never seen a book like this before. And I've wanted to interview Ronnie for a long time about this book. And before we start, tell us a typical day in the life of what you eat, Ronnie. What do you eat?
What I'm eating now is pretty simple. Now, what I want to say is I'm not 100% happy with the way my diet is, but it is what I do at the moment. I eat like quite a lot of tomatoes. I have quite a tomato dominated diet in some ways at the moment, probably like 2 kilograms or three sometimes. A lot of tomatoes, which I eat as a very simple salad, tomatoes and lettuce. I eat that quite a lot, which I don't think is ideal, but I do that right now. And on top of that, I have grapes, bananas, grapes, citrus fruits, apples. That's kind of like staples for me. I sometimes have ice cream a little bit. Sometimes I have some frozen fruit if I like frozen cherries or something occasionally. But pretty simple at the moment. Like not even making salad dressings, and not really nuts and seeds very much that much, or avocados at the moment. So but yeah, what I actually think I want to go towards, my favorite sort of moment when I did doing the raw vegan diet was probably like I mean, I like the kind of 80-10-10 style of fruit for breakfast and lunch, and then a big salad for dinner and fruit and stuff. But I like just the mono meals, mono days, even of fruit. Like I did mono mango island for months, and I loved that. So I love like simple. That's what I really like, and um, so I want to get down to like I want to get down to like just sweet fruits, mono meals and stuff at some point. But right now, admittedly, quite a lot of tomatoes, which some people would say isn't ideal, but it's better than what I used to eat.
Yeah, better than a Big Mac, I would
What do you
say.
think about tomatoes? Do you have any problems with them? Some people don't promote them. A few
I don't
people.
have any problem with any fruit or any vegetable. I mean, I am not a perfectionist and I'm in this for life. So if it's a fruit or vegetable, I will eat it. Why don't you want to eat tomatoes?
No, I think they're okay. I just like I personally the way I am as a person as someone that relates to food and everything is that I can get so focused on one food and I end up like binging on it and eating it almost to the exclusion of everything else for short periods of time. And so I just eat too many of them. I just think like I eat them too consistently, too much. If I could limit it a little bit, I'd be fine. I just feel like they consume my like they're kind of addictive a little bit. They have MSG. So they're a bit different to other fruits and stuff. So, but they're not a bit. All I'm saying is this is like you get to this point where you're just trying to find your own personal level of like what's best for you. If most people ate like me, like their health would transform unbelievably. But just for me, I like to try and always uh, get towards what's more and more ideal. But yeah, large quantities of fruit, large mono. I always almost entirely eat fruit as mono meals, smoothies, bananas. If I eat bananas, it'll usually be a smoothie or an ice cream. Grapes, I just eat them as they are. Citrus, just eat it as it is, you know. So, or I'll have orange juice sometimes. I do have juice as well sometimes. Um,
Okay, perfect. And so now question, Ronnie, at what point of the day do you drink your own urine? Because I believe I read in your book that you drink urine and you promote it. And tell us about that.
I
Oh, I think I
well, you
read
know,
read.
there's only two reasons. There's two reasons that people drink urine in the world, and one of them is for nutrition, and one of them is for some kind of kinky fun or something. But I don't.
Sorry.
But I've
Thanks.
never tried either of them. Um, I'm sure that they're kind of maybe there's some benefits to one of them. I don't know. No, I like. I remember seeing people talk about urine therapy on television years ago. You know, when I was younger, and I saw people talk about it, and what they claimed was when you drink this, was so weird about it. Like when you drink this urine, it makes your body go into a detox. Like like we're putting something so toxic or something back into us that it makes our body detoxify even more. And like people buy into that. Like this is a great idea, you know. Um, Urine probably isn't that bad. You know, it's mostly water, but and it doesn't really harm anyone, but that much, I don't think. But yeah, that's a weird thing. And years ago, when I was at the UK festival, we've had all sorts of people come, and we had Tim Sheaf, who at the time was a, a famous kind of vegan influencer in the UK, and he was very into fruitarianism, but not quite a fruitarian. He was always on the verges of trying it out and stuff. So he came along to the festival, and we were standing in a group, and he brought out this big bottle, and he was guzzling this liquid, and I just had this feeling like that's I don't know why. I just thought there's something that's urine. Like I just kind of felt like this guy's drinking urine, and he was drinking massive quantities of urine, you know, of his own urine. I think he tried other people's, and he was really a believer in it. He didn't speak about it at the festival, but he was doing it.
Dude, I
And
just recently, I don't want to cut you off, Ronnie, but
no, go for it.
literally last week, somebody just sent me a video. I don't even remember why they sent it to me, but it was a video of this moment, and you're in the video, and you're like, can I get a picture with you so that I can tell people I met you? And it's Tim Sheep, Ted Carr, Robbie from Mastering Diabetes, who's just like, nah, bro, I'm good. But Tim Sheep, he was like, yeah, this is urine. And Ted drank my urine last night. We bonded over urine. And I'm just like, what is going on at the UK Fruit Festival?
Do you know, it's funny because like, how does that become the thing people bond over? Like, this is the thing about fruit. What I find so funny is that it's almost so uncompelling to people that even when you have like a festival full of it and like total loads of variety and things, like people are still wanting to try these other things out, like drinking urine, like that
Yes.
literally does not taste good, I imagine. And like it comes from you, it's like something that we're all slightly like the smell of it is meant to make you not want to drink it, I think, you know, like it's not a pleasant smelling thing. And yeah, I remember that moment. And yeah, I just now I'm not sure if that's connected to Tim getting sick and then falling off the vegan diet. He also did a long fast and
Yeah.
became very weak,
Water
and
fast
he
or
wasn't
dry.
feeling good. Yeah, he wasn't feeling good after that, and like had lost a lot of muscle as well, I think, or got lost a lot of strength and stuff, and um, kind of fell off the vegan diet after that. And I don't know what he's doing now, but yeah, I've never been into that urine therapy stuff, and it doesn't make sense to me. And I, you know, it's a fertilizer in a way. Put it back into the earth, and it's nitrogen. You know, it's
Yeah, I remember those old freely durian rider videos where they talked about how they had a bucket in their room and at night they would pee in the bucket and then put it in the garden. Do you remember this?
yeah. That was funny.
Yeah.
That's funny because it was always like if you. This is what the culture was like then, because Harley was such an influence that he would say things like, "If you're not peeing at night, you're not drinking enough water," and people would follow that like to the like. So people
Yeah.
would be like, "Man, I'm not drinking enough water. I better drink more," forcing themselves to drink more water. So they're getting up at the night and peeing, and you know, have a bottle in your room. I remember that was a common thing. Like have a bottle in your room so that you don't have to, you know, get up to pee.
Yeah,
And
I
yeah,
wanna Yeah, I want to ask you a few things about that. Listening to gurus and stuff. But before I ask you, you just said about the urine being, like kind of a toxic substance that yes, can make us detox because it's toxic. And I'm curious your thoughts on wheatgrass because I've heard the same thing about wheatgrass. It's toxic to the human body, and so it makes us feel like, we're detoxing. It's really disgusting. And do you think the same thing about wheatgrass? Do you believe in wheatgrass? What are your thoughts on that?
yeah. Well, what I want to say is I don't believe in that statement that I said. So when I said that this is what people claimed, that when they drank urine, the body reacted in to go into a detox, and
Hmm.
so there was a benefit to that. I don't really believe in that. I just believe that you I believe the body's always well. We have an entire system. We have organs that do our detoxification processes for us. The body, as long as it's healthy and in good shape and has the right nutrition, is continuously detoxing and doing that work for us. And so when we add urine in, all we're doing, this is the thing, it's always doing it at its maximum capacity. Like that's the way, I mean, that's what I've been taught as the kind of the principles of philosophies and natural hygiene. Like when your body is already doing that detoxification, it's doing it as well as it possibly can in that moment, right? Our body's not like us. Like if we've got a job or a task, we're like procrastinating, like leaving it to the last minute. You know, we need to get someone to kick us up the backside sometimes to get stimulated and motivated and do something. But that's not the human body. Like the body is like always working at the highest capacity as far as what I believe about it. It's always working at that highest capacity. So when we put urine in or any other kind of toxic substance, we're just giving it more to do. And it might react more strongly to it, but it's not a sign that we're going into a greater or stronger level of detox. And it'll be the same with wheatgrass or anything else. And probably wheatgrass isn't that toxic, but like you can't stimulate your body into doing into like being more detox than it already is, sort of thing. Like that's a bad mentality to have, and it's a bad relationship with your body. You need to have that trust that the body is always working at its highest capacity, and it will do things. Like there's another statement people say, oh, you'll detox too quickly. If you just go on fruit, you'll detox too quickly. And once again, it's a complete lack of connection and trust with the body. Like the body's not going to harm you or harm itself. It knows its own. There is, systems in place to measure and monitor all these processes. So we're not going to dump loads of toxins into the bloodstream that we can't deal with. That's not a really wise way of looking at our body. So people experience things, they eat things and they experience a reaction to it. They come off of coffee or whatever, they experience reactions, but that's not the body working poorly. That's the body trying to deal with or reacting to really the conditions that we put it under and the stresses we put it under. So no, I don't believe in the idea that we can add anything to our body to detox quicker or better. All we can do is provide our body with the best nutrition and the best conditions, and maybe with rest and so on, and then it will be able to do these things as best as it can. But it always does that anyway. That's what I believe.
Yeah, I really like that answer. I think that most people believe that there's things that are stronger than the human body with as far as, the detox. So like, okay, my body's broken because of all the shit I've eaten in the past. And so I have to do extra things to help it. Now, I will say, Ronnie, that when I went raw vegan, I went from standard American to raw vegan. I experienced severe side effects. I don't know if you don't want to call it detox, but I got really, really, really sick. I had severe mucus coming out all orifices. Is that the word? I had such bad mucus. I couldn't breathe. I couldn't hear. I couldn't talk. I was coughing nonstop. And personally, I didn't know anything about, thank God I didn't know about urine therapy. I might have tried it, but I didn't know about it, but I did get colonics and right away it went away. All the mucus was like drained like a bathtub, opening the water to go out. You know what I mean? So I don't know if you've experienced that ever. Like, did you quickly go raw or did you do it over
I know.
time?
Yeah. No, I mean, I've experienced symptoms as well, and over years virtually experienced symptoms. So I know what you're talking about, but I don't see that as like, to me, that's just the normal process of the body
Yeah.
bringing itself back to health. Like it's not, I felt it was always like a good sign. So when I started to go raw vegan, I actually had a cough for about, I think like a month, maybe 6 weeks. I was like coughing almost all the time, like coughing a lot. I got a rash on my arm. I think I had these spots in my eyelids that came out for a while, like on both eyelids. I had pains in various joints that came and went. So yeah, I had various detox symptoms, so to speak. But
Did you go raw vegan overnight or did you transition slowly? I'm just curious.
well, I was already vegetarian, and then I was mostly vegan, and then I started to try and I was kind of whole foods, and then was trying to have raw. So I think I went from like mostly vegetarian, kind of a healthy vegetarian diet, healthier, to trying out days of raw food, and then over a course of time, experimenting on and off with raw foods, and I felt really good. But I made the classic mistake that a lot of people make, which is I just said to myself, I'm just going to eat anything that's raw, and whatever it is raw, and that's what I'm going to do for a week. And I only lasted like 3-4 days because I just ran out of energy. I would literally go to lunch and I would eat like broccoli and cauliflower and stuff. So I started to realize at that point, right, I actually need to listen to some of these people that are teaching this, and you can't just sort of figure it out easily on your own. So then I started to do more learning and understanding, and got into it more. And I was following Harley a lot at that time, and he had a lot of good information. So
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
For sure. So I agree. Yeah, there you can be unhealthy, you can fall off because of not knowing, life doesn't come with an instruction manual. And certainly we definitely don't know how to eat. We were never taught how to eat as humans, you know. And nobody's eating like it. Nobody's eating their species specific diet out there. Our parents aren't, school teachers aren't, nobody's doing it. So yeah, it can be trial and error for a long time, and that's why people like you are so important because you've been through it for almost 10 years now. I think a little more, right, than 10 years.
yeah, yeah, and made a lot of mistakes and all that stuff. So
Mm. Yeah.
and a lot of the things that I was taught at the start kind of turned out to be right, and I've tried to, you try and eat. I don't know, like not even try, but just accidentally or by mistake do a higher fat diet or um, try and add certain things into your diet or whatever. But uh, and I even went back to cooked foods for a while. For 6 or 7 months, I ate like a cooked food diet maybe 3 or 4 years ago. 4 years ago, maybe, and I immediately was just like, I need to get back to raw. This is not working for me. So yeah, I'm pretty pretty happy with where I'm at, and with being a raw vegan, I'm pretty sure I'm set on that. And I've seen a lot of people come and go, and there's a few reasons for that, but I think rarely is it anything really to do with the diet, and maybe they're not doing it right or not quite thinking about it in the right way. But yeah, some of the experiences you're talking about, like that can freak a lot of people out when they go through detoxes, and
Yeah.
when they get pains coming up and going, when they feel weak or fatigued. I mean, I probably did feel like fatigued a lot in the first year or two, even in the first 2 years. Probably times where, and I remember kind of clearly a point where that sort of disappeared, but that wasn't straight away. And yeah, I did get a lot of good energy when I first started off, but in the first year there was times I was fatigued. A lot of that was probably me doing it wrong as well, though, like still under eating and not doing things quite right. But
Yeah.
I don't know, but I definitely say to people, like, this is your body after. I don't think people realize the scale of harm and stress that we cause to the body with like the standard diet over a long period of time. And so it kind of makes sense that it takes a little bit of a while for the body to get back to normal. I mean, I even think about things like um, I used to feel my heartbeat before I was a vegan or raw vegan, and I would feel an irregular, like strange heartbeat sometimes, and I thought, that's not good, is it? Like there's something a bit weird there. And then uh, checking that, forgetting about it, but then checking it as a raw vegan and feeling my heartbeat was completely regular, and it had changed, and it just sounded or felt so much healthier. And I thought, these are the things that are healing in your body that you don't even notice or think about. And who knows how much more is being healed and has to be kind of brought back to normal that we don't know. And Doug Graham would talk about a great thing where he would say, like, some people, they go on this diet and they want their acne to go away straight away, their spots or whatever, and they're maybe sad that it doesn't happen straight away. But that's because the body's putting its energy towards healing the liver cancer that you don't realize that was developing in your body, or whatever it is. This thing, other things going on that we don't know about. So for me, a lot of it comes down to believing in this diet and having and getting the information you need to believe in it and have faith in it, but then trusting in your body after that. Like when you're having weird feelings and days when you're fatigued and things, keep on trusting that the body's got its own wisdom, and it's going to prioritize the things it needs to. So it's about developing a good relationship with that, I think. I don't know what you think.
Yeah, what a good point, Ronnie. Wow, what a good point. I never thought of it like that. A lot of people contact me, they want to get clear skin. They know that I had acne and now I have great skin. And, it's so crazy because we have no idea what's going on in the body. The body is so smart and taking care of so much. Thousands. I mean, like the liver alone has over 500 jobs to do.
Wow.
Like it's literally unbelievable what is going on in our
Yeah.
body. Our body is the most advanced thing on earth. And by the way, guys, if you go raw vegan, yes, you might get sick, like Ronnie spoke about, like I spoke about. I got very, very sick. And guess what? I haven't been sick since. Okay. I
Yeah.
haven't been sick since 2011. Coughing. I never cough again. I used to wake up every single morning, Ronnie, and I had really bad mucus run like the out of my eyes, my nose. I had to blow my nose all morning.
Yeah.
It was like I was sick every morning that I woke up in my
Yeah.
teens and 20s. And now I never have mucus. I never get sick. And yeah, I still have issues because I'm human living in a very unnatural world. I'm living the most natural way possible in an unnatural world. So yeah, we can still get sick as raw vegans. And I think that's actually one of your chapters as well, how people believe that when they go raw vegan, they don't need any type of medical
Oh,
help
yeah.
or like, yeah, can you talk about that really quickly? And then I also really, really want to talk about the supplements, how raw vegans
Yeah.
truly believe they must take B12, they must have supplements. So those two
But
things I really want to cover.
yeah, well, it's pretty dangerous, I think. I think there's something in human nature. We want sort of a simple answer. So we like, even like when you find out about the raw food diet, you go, okay, I'll just eat raw, that's it. And then you learn like, oh wait, you have to actually learn a bit more about this. It's not as simple as that. Or it's just about being vegan, or it's just about, just having these simple rules, or it's just low fat or whatever. And we want things to be sort of really simple. And sometimes it's not as simple as we want it to be. And when it comes to medication and things like that, I think a lot of people do have that attitude of, right, I'm never going to take any medication or listen to a doctor's advice again or whatever. And a lot of people have had bad experiences with doctors and bad experiences with the medical community because they've had diseases, issues, like terrible health issues that they were told they'll never get rid of. They have to try and work with it or deal with it. Then they find out about this diet. They try it out. They do it for a week. Their symptoms are starting to go away, or maybe go away completely, and their health is transforming within a very short period of time. They go back to their doctors and they don't want to hear about it. So they have this bad relationship with the medical system that for years was giving them drugs and different things, and nothing was working for them. And this lifestyle did. And they start to learn, obviously, more and more people had the same kind of experience. And a lot of the major diseases and problems are definitely are lifestyle related. And specifically diet related, and specifically animal foods and processed foods related, but probably mostly the animal products. So when people get that, when they realize that that's so simple, like they just change their diet and their health is transformed, their diseases go away, like really terrible diseases can go away that they thought they were going to be on for life. And then they just kind of throw away the medical community completely, and completely lose faith, lose trust, and quite understandably so. But it's not a wise thing. And I think early on, when I started to go to some of the raw vegan events, I remember a situation where one of the speakers, their daughter had something that went in their ear, and they didn't even they didn't pause to take them to the hospital. Like, they just took her to the hospital. They didn't think about it. And I realized that, like, okay, there's a bit more of a balance here, right? It's not just about we try and figure everything out the natural way. And I think there's a number of things, and specifically a number of things where medication is the best answer, is the best solution, particularly with certain, and not everyone agrees with me on this, but certain things to do with antibiotics, infections, but specifically like infections is a big place where people get, especially if they go away to somewhere like the tropics or somewhere, or particular countries where they can get infected with certain things, or maybe it's parasites, or maybe it's ticks, or whatever it is. What's it called? Lyme's disease is an example. And we have these antibiotics that deal with these things pretty quickly and pretty well. And I had my own example of this where I had an ulcer in my mouth. And maybe I could have fasted and done all these things, and maybe that would have worked. But the dentist said, go and get these antibiotics, and I took them, and like within a day, this ulcer that I'd had for weeks disappeared. Like within a day, it was gone, and I was like, okay, that stuff really works and really quickly. And
But perhaps if you had water fasted for 2 years, Ronnie, you would have healed it naturally.
But that's the thing, right? So maybe you could have, right? And that's
You gave
true.
up too soon, Ronnie. Give it
like,
2 years.
yeah. But you just balance up, like, what was the harm that was done to their body? Maybe there was a little bit, but it probably wasn't that much. And probably the infection from the mouth ulcer was more dangerous and could have led to something worse. So there's a few stories in the book. I mean, one of them was a guy, and it's actually a guy who basically healed cancer by changing his diet and lived for many years after that. But he died as a result of something like a mouth ulcer, or something that happened in his mouth that was just probably a simple dental thing. But he refused to take antibiotics, and it got infected, and he died. His blood got infected. So if you look back to the history of antibiotics, people don't realize these things. Like 100 years ago or so, before antibiotics happened, and I would say that I should mention that it was a Scottish guy that kind of invented or came across one of the first ones. But people would die.
Okay, one for the Scots. One.
Yeah, people would die quite a lot from cutting their hand when they were working with plants and flowers. So people would prick their finger on like a rose bush, and their hand would get infected, and they could literally die from it. And there was no solution, like there was no medical solution to it. And then these antibiotics started to be discovered and started to be experimented with, and they worked, and they saved a lot of lives. And we're so used to them now that we forget that happened. And now, and the sad thing with the raw vegan world is a specific example of that occurring and it leading to someone's death was Robert Lockhart. And he literally got an infection from working in his garden, in his farm or his garden, and sort of refused to go to the hospital, from what I can tell, and was trying to dry fast and stuff, and then eventually got to the hospital. By that point, it was, the combination of the infection and probably the dry fasting and everything put him in a really bad place. And potentially, if he just went and taken the antibiotics, he would have been fine. And that's a really sad thing. And there's a few other examples of that, of people that had malaria that didn't go and get the antivirals. A few situations like that. And I've had a few friends that were posting in groups things like, my doctor's saying I should take this antibiotic. I got a cut in my hand; it might be infected. What should I do? And you're like, well, you might lose your hand, so take the antibiotics. It's like, don't take a risk. Like so people stop kind of. It's a bit more complicated to weigh up what's the right course of action. Sometimes it's not what's raw is best, what's natural is best. It's like you need to think about it a little bit more. What's actually the damage of an antibiotic that you're taking 3 times? Very little. What's the risk of losing your hand, even if it's 1%? Devastating. So like you need to just look at that balance and go, this is not right. But I mean, I've been around raw vegans, and they got someone got a bad burn and would not go to the hospital, would not, it is frustrating. It's like, it's really hard you really don't want the person to get hurt, and they're resisting it, and it can be difficult. And but it comes from these dogmas that people get taught, and they get fear.
All or nothing thinking. And, I would say use technology to your advantage. I can't imagine a situation where I will be taking antibiotics ever, but I will use technology to my advantage. If I need to find out what's wrong, I will take an x-ray. I will, if I have to, if I'm like really get something, because I don't travel, but if I traveled and I got some type of crazy spider bite,
Yeah.
personally, I'd probably, I'd go to a doctor and then I would evaluate from there. I also know somebody who's raw vegan, who cut, listen to this, Ronnie, this is absolutely insane. They cut their thumb. They were a chef. They cut their thumb almost completely off. They refused to go to the doctor, and instead, you guys are going to love this. Instead, they soaked it in a bag of their own urine.
Oh
Now,
God.
yeah. Now, this person, perhaps he did heal himself. I mean, it took a long time, I think. He did heal, but he has many other health issues, but refuses to go to the doctor or the dentist. That's another thing that it's just like,
Yeah.
guys, if you take your health seriously, here's what you want to do. You want to eat the best food you can, right? You want to really invest in your health with the food you eat, with the thoughts you think, with the people you surround yourself with the information that you take in, because your health is not just food. It's the getting into nature, it's meditating, it's exercising, it's being positive, positive thinking, taking in positive stuff. But also, you want to be smart, and you want to recognize that you don't know everything. You can't know everything. And there are professionals that, we don't have to take all their advice, but we should probably find out what's going on. If you have a health issue, don't just try to heal it yourself. Reach out to people, even holistic doctors, right? Go to a holistic doctor. Go to somebody who you feel like you can trust and find out what's going on. Don't just try to drink your own urine or go on a water fast. Me and Ronnie feel very strongly against water fasts, unless, and correct me if I'm wrong, Ronnie, unless you are medically supervised and you are healing some type of ailment with a medical supervision, like maybe at True North or something like that. Do you agree with that?
Yeah. I mean, I'm not a huge promoter of water fasting, and I think that it's a fairly safe thing for people to do for a day or whatever, or a certain period of time, small period of time. My problem with water fasting a lot of the time, I actually think in many ways it's a great thing and could be a really great thing for a lot of people, and there's benefits to it, and I do think it creates healing for people and all these things. But on the balance of things, for example, with me running a festival, I ask myself, do I want to really put a lot of time into promoting this idea of water fasting to the guests at the festival? And my answer is no, because there's a lot of risks around it. But the risks to me being way worse than the benefits, in terms of, if one person in that audience has the tendency towards eating disorders and heads towards a kind of fasting lifestyle where they're continually trying to fast and becomes absolutely obsessed with it, then that could be really dangerous and harmful for someone. So that's a worry to me. And when people are going away fasting on their own, that there are risks to that, and probably not, in some ways, not huge risk for many people. But it's not really what I don't like, the lifestyle of fasting that a lot of people have, where they're continuously looking for excuses to fast, and continuously, like, people that fast one day a week, or intermittent fasting, or I don't like any of that. To me, I want to promote the raw vegan diet and the fruit diet particularly, and that's a diet that you can follow consistently for years, that will support your health, that will give you energy, and then you can get on with your life and with the other things you've got doing in your life. Not, here's a thing that you can start focusing on and making it the center of your life to try and continually detox and heal yourself, and get self-obsessed and get inward looking, and have no energy and be lying in bed for days and days at a time. And it's also this thing where there's a kind of, that fasting becomes the this is like the penance for my bad behavior, in a sense. Like, instead of going and saying your prayers or whatever it is, like, okay, I had a bad weekend, I'm going to do a fast. I hate that. And I've had clients when I've been coaching people that would literally eat junk food at the weekend and then almost fast the entire week or eat very little throughout the week, then junk food at the weekend. And they never lost any weight. It was just, and it was such a bad cycle and such a bad pattern for them. And, you know, I really don't like that. And I think some of the time, Jeanette, like a lot of the people that go to fast, there's some people I know that have been long-term raw vegans and they're saying to themselves, you know, I just feel there's something extra that I can heal, and they're committed to the diet. They've got themselves in a healthy place, and they go and do some fasting to see what benefits they'll get from it. And I think that's great. But when people are kind of like starting off, I think it's a bad way to start this lifestyle. It doesn't help people get rid of their bad eating habits. It doesn't help them get rid of their food addictions. And a lot of people will come off a fast and go straight for binging on junk food. And the amount of people that, yeah, and
sorry,
it's
I
just
completely agree.
yeah. And so I don't see it as effective for people in a lot of situations. And like you're saying, for extreme, we all know a lot of people that are very sick. If we could get them to do a fast, it would change their life, a medical supervised fast or supervised fast. It would absolutely change their life. But the important thing would be after that, they have to then change their diet or they're just going to go right back to that situation. So it's a lot of people want to do it. It's very compelling to people. I understand that people kind of, as soon as someone starts talking about it, everyone's interested. And if you're saying like, hey, just do the fruit diet long term, and that's basically just as good for most people, that's not as, you know, I don't know.
I think it's not a quick fix, and people
Yeah,
are looking
exactly.
for a quick fix, and that doesn't work. The only thing that works is consistency. And the crazy thing is that I swear every single person, you're right, every person that I know that's doing a juice cleanse, doing a water fast, has just started, and they just want the fastest results, and they want to lose the fastest weight, and they want to clear their skin the fastest, and they want to heal their digestive issues the fastest. And it's just like the body doesn't recognize fast, it recognizes consistent. And the only way to get what you want in this life, whether that's financial freedom, the body of your dreams, the skin of your dreams, the relationship of your dreams, whatever it is, it's going to take consistent action over time. That's it. There is no quick fix.
Everything. Yeah, it's the same with like
One,
everything, Jeanette. Like you talk about business sometimes. It's the same with that. There's all these quick fixes in finance that people like. They're going to make a lot of money very quickly and all this stuff, you know, and with certain things. And there's you know, for a while that's cryptocurrencies or whatever it is. Like people get into these things like this is the quick method, and it might work for the occasional person, but like the vast majority of the time, when if it's friendships and relationships, if it's health, if it's fitness, if it's business, if it's, you know, religion or spirituality, it's the thing. Usually, it's the boring, long-term, consistent thing that is what you should go towards. You know, and when you see the kind of quick fix ideas, then you know a lot of the time that's not right. But I would say that doesn't mean that your health can't change very rapidly. It definitely can, but if you want it to stay long term, you have to get a diet that works and a lifestyle that works, because it's all about lifestyle. And the idea that a fast will fix you and then that's you for life is rarely the case for people.
yeah, and that's a good segue into supplements, Ronnie, because I believe, I don't know, I love your opinion on it, but I believe in supplementation if you are deficient. But I also think that supplements are being widely abused because of the quick fix mentality. Where like, okay, I'm tired, so I must be deficient. And so I'm not gonna get a blood test. I'm just gonna take
Yeah.
B12. So can you talk a little bit about your personal experience? You've done a lot of research on this. Talk about
Yeah.
B12 as far as raw vegans go, and then the population at large.
Well, B12, I mean, I do think that if you want to look at it as a vegan, what are the supplementation recommendation, or what are some of the recommendations? And definitely you'll see a lot of the vegan doctors and vegan organizations say you might want to look at B12, and that's something that they recommend vegans take. Vitamin D is another one that sometimes comes up depending on what part of the world you're in. If you're in a place with not a lot of sunlight, if you've got darker skin, might be more of an issue. You might have low B12, low vitamin D. So those are common ones that we see recommendations for vegans, but sometimes for people across the population as well. Vitamin B12, the way that I sort of look at it is, I mean, I've not supplemented with B12 and I've been a vegan for 10 years. I don't recommend that to people. I don't say that's what you should do. But I do think that there's enough people that have done that it's not really something to be scared about. And I mean, in terms of the research, if you look at the information around vegan diets and B12, definitely you will find again and again, you'll find studies that say vegans and vegetarians have lower B12, and that those levels will be, clinically low and everything. But to me, that none of those studies then go on and say, and they were all suffering from B12 deficiency symptoms. Do you know what I mean? Like, that was never what the study said. It just said they had lower B12. Does that mean that is that a problem? Maybe that's just a better level of B12. I don't even know, but none of those studies said, and by the way, there is a study on raw vegans that were also low in B12. But once again, it never said, and those people were all suffering and their health was in terrible condition and they were all falling apart and their nerves and their spine, they'll call them, and like, it never said that. And some of the examples of like B12 deficiency in vegans that you sometimes see in articles, and there was some that were about children and stuff, and a lot of it was really bad situations and abuse and all sorts of weird stuff that was going on that was not entirely the vegan diet. I think that, for pregnant mothers, it's probably a safeguard that a lot of them want to look at, and you can get testing for it. There are many people who don't take B12 that have perfectly healthy levels, and I don't know. I mean, I'm on my own experiment with it, but I don't think that it's necessarily a broad kind of everyone needs to do this or you're going to fall apart. And a lot of people come into start a vegan diet, and on day 2 they're like, I think I've got B12 deficiency, and you're like, well, that's not physically possible.
Yeah. What's really interesting, Ronnie? Yeah, go on.
Well, I'm just saying you can't all of a sudden run out in a day, and you can't all of a sudden get it all back. Like people that say, I ate a piece of fish and all of a sudden it gave me everything I needed and I was back. You're like, that's not physically possible. It doesn't happen.
You know what? It is okay. You know what? It is physically possible. And let me tell you why. Because the mind is the most powerful thing on earth. So I swear, guys, this is a crazy experiment that happened. But I just want to tell you a story real quick. But I swear to you, everything is happening in the mind first, guys. So if you truly believe that if you go vegan, whether that's for a day or a week, and you're going to be B12 deficient or protein deficient, then you're going to manifest those symptoms in your body. And I know many people that I've gone back and forth, Ronnie, with some raw vegans that I know, and they swear to me that they were B12 deficient. They went to the doctor, they did get tested, they were B12 deficient. Once they started taking supplements, they felt so much better starting that day. And I'm like, you know what? I believe it because your mind. So let me just tell you about this study they did. Bruce Lipton and Wayne Dyer spoke about this study, Ronnie. And it was 10 patients that needed knee surgery. Okay. Yep. And maybe you've heard about this, but 5 of the patients actually got the surgery and 5 of them did not. But the doctor put them under anesthesia, did 2 incisions, and that's it. They didn't do the surgery. They just opened up and closed up the knee, right? All 10 patients healed exactly the same. How it gives me goosebumps because insane is that, Ronnie? Like, how powerful do we'll never know the extent to the power of the human mind, but little studies like like that, and my experience from having friends just immediately feeling better after taking something or after eating
Yeah,
meat or fish. And it's like, wow, you really did convince your mind. Your mind
totally.
really made it happen. And so
All in,
what
yeah,
could we,
yeah,
yeah, what could we do if we had different thoughts and we started to like tap into the power of our mind
yeah,
instead of giving these supplements and these dead
absolutely.
animal body parts so much power?
Absolutely. I think that, you know, we've been so convinced, so bombarded with marketing information. People don't get this. Like a lot of the stuff that they think is common knowledge, like common, like scientific, this must be true, you know, because they've heard it so many times. It's just like the thing of like meat gives you protein or whatever. Like we've heard that a million times. We assume that that's absolutely right. When we go vegan, we're like, well, where do we get our protein? And then we start to look at the information and we realize this is completely different. And all that was marketing information. It was just promotional marketing information that was allowed, for some reason, was allowed to be promoted at one point. Um, and really, the 20th century was like a time where mass media, mass marketing, and everything became a much bigger thing. Although advertising and marketing has existed for thousands of years. I heard that actually in, you know, the gladiators in the Colosseum, like they actually had billboards up and stuff like promoting local businesses. I couldn't believe that, but they don't put that in the historical films because they're like, no one will believe that this was the case. So kind of like just the way that sports games now have billboards and promotional advertising boards. It's crazy, but it's true. Um, but yeah, I mean, and I think that getting into, we can convince ourselves of a lot of things. It's very dangerous. It's very important to make sure your mindset is right. That's one of the important things in this. And sometimes, like when I'm talking about water fasting, there, I'm actually worried more about the mindset than the practice of fasting. I'm more concerned when I talk about, when we talk about detox, I'm more worried about the detox mindset than someone actually doing a juice fast. It's not the actual practice, it's the way that the person thinks and what it leads them to thinking, what it leads them to doing. That's what I think can be dangerous. And when someone like being against medical information, that's going to be fine for 99% of your life. If you don't want to go to the doctor, you'll be fine. But that one time that it's wrong could be fatal for a person. And it's that mindset thing. And that's why I think it's important to try and get your mindset, especially with this health stuff, in as close a place to what is real and true and actually effective, not what I want to be true, what goes well with my feelings, what goes well with the stories that I have in my mind. You know, we need to figure out, you know, and there's a lot of stuff. If we go further into the supplements, like everyone, supplements were sold for many years and by scaring people into believing the soil is deficient, there's the food in the supermarket has no nutrition left, and even a lot of raw food teachers used to teach that or still do teach that to some degree. um, and I just simply thought there's something that to me sounds like marketing about that. And when I started to look into it, I was like, this is, there's no evidence around this stuff about the food in the supermarket has less nutrition, that the soil is all damaged, there's no soil left, the soils are disappearing. I mean, I heard a guy on the Joe Rogan podcast just a couple of weeks ago saying we've got about 60 years of soil left. Total nonsense. Like, totally, like, no evidence around that whatsoever. And people just share this weird stuff because they've heard it and they just sort of assume it's right. And unfortunately, even in the raw vegan movement, we get people that share these ideas and you ask them for the evidence, they never have any evidence for it. It just sounds good to them or whatever. And that's the basis of sometimes telling other people to supplement. And as you're saying, a lot of people will get a benefit from supplementing short term because they'll feel better or it'll make them relax a little bit. But it's not really what was causing whatever their issue was, which was potentially not even nutritional in nature. And the idea that raw vegans are deficient in vitamins when fruits are just the best source of vitamins, or deficient in minerals when vegetables are the best source of minerals. Like, it's just such a ridiculous thing. And what I learned when I started to look a bit more into deficiencies, because people are worried about deficiencies and all this, and they immediately say, well, I went on chronometer, I've got a deficiency in zinc. It's like, no, you don't. You had less zinc than what chronometer told you to. That doesn't mean you've got a deficiency of zinc. And I think that people get a bit paranoid about these things, overly so. And if we look back to our ancestors, they just simply didn't have the ability to choose. They were eating whatever they could, and they still managed to survive. Deficiencies are like incredibly rare. When we really look into it, you have to go to like quite far extremes, like with scurvy, with sailors going out on boats for months at an end and only having like dried meat and dried biscuits or whatever they had to eat, like having a
Just think
weird
of
sort of
the
diet.
Yeah, just think of the people that are walking around, guys, that are drinking coffee in the morning, eating
Yeah.
donuts for breakfast, McDonald's for lunch, and pizza for dinner. And maybe there might be a piece of iceberg lettuce on the burger. That's all the nutrition they're getting for the whole entire day, for their whole entire year. And we raw vegans, or we healthy vegans, are worried about being low in one thing
Yeah.
or the other. So it's just like, I have like a new policy, Ronnie, that I personally don't work with any clients that are water fasting or juice cleansing. And I just started this because I can't do it anymore. I can't convince anyone of anything anymore. I'm not going to do it. I'm just going to help the people that want to be helped to be healthy long
Yeah.
term. And the reason is because the water fasting and the juice cleansing has nothing to do with your health. It only has to do with you. And this is, don't anyone take offense to this, but this is my experience personally and with clients, you not feeling good enough. And doing a
Right.
juice cleanse and a water fast is helping you mentally feel like, okay, I'm working towards my goals. I'm going to lose weight quickly. I'm going to feel
Yeah.
better about myself. And I'm doing the a hard thing, which it is really hard to not eat when you are hungry. And instead of doing that, how about you do something else that's hard, which is be consistent. That's all you need to do. You don't need to starve yourself, and you definitely don't need to overeat like my mentors in the past. We spoke a little bit about Harley in the beginning of the show, which is Durian
Sure.
Rider, and he was one of my mentors. And Freely, of course, I still love Freely. But the thing is that I believed, and I want your opinion on this, I believed I had to really eat more than I wanted or needed. I believed I had to shove in the calories to get as much as possible so that I wouldn't, I don't know, have deficiencies, or I would never be hungry, or that I would just, I don't even know
Yeah.
why exactly they promote like as much food as possible. But I learned the hard way that that is absolutely not healthy. Water fasting
Yeah.
and binging until you are severely, severely like stuffed to capacity, and then eating more, like forcing yourself to eat more. These are two extremes and not healthy. So what are your thoughts
Yeah.
on that? Do you believe we need to eat as much as possible?
Well, like the one thing I want to say as well about the fasting and the cleansing thing is so often it means I want to lose weight. And if people would just be honest about, like, it's absolutely a great thing to want to lose weight. There's nothing shameful about it. Like, just say you want to lose weight, like, but find the actual thing that's going to work, which is not a 90-day juice cleanse or something and then going back to what you ate before. Like, it's that's
No,
not so.
even better, just be honest with yourself and say, I don't feel good enough. And I need to I want to talk to somebody about ways that I can feel better about myself no matter what I weigh, and
Sure.
find out and realize that you are enough no matter what, no matter what you look like, no matter what your skin looks like, no matter how much extra weight you have, you are enough. And I can't convince someone who is unwilling to look at that. Your diet and your
Yeah.
lifestyle has nothing to do with the outside world and everything to do with the way you feel about yourself. So that's the hard part though, Ronnie. Nobody wants to face
Yeah.
how they really are feeling inside.
Yeah, it's that's the tough thing as well with working with clients and things, is that even when they come to you looking for your help, even when they trust you, they've watched your content or whatever it is, maybe they've got to know you somewhere else, and you talk to them and they still sometimes don't open up about these things. And if they would say, like, the classic thing for me is you say, well, why would you like to come to the festival, or why would you like to do this diet or whatever? and they say, well, for health, or like something really vague, or like for health, for more energy, and you're like, yeah, that's that. So you have to kind of coax it out with them, like, you know, uh, for many people, one of the benefits they get is losing weight. Is that something that would be a benefit to you? And you know, and some people will still say, no, not really. I'm kind of interested in health. Then when you find out what their weight is, you're thinking, well, they are really overweight. It would really benefit them. There's a lot of people for me that at the festivals over the years that I see them come time and time and again, and I'm just like, I just really hope they lose the weight. Like, I don't even care how they do it in some ways. I mean, I want them to do it consistently, but if they just, whatever diet they're doing, if they just learn to control that and do that better and lose the weight, that will really make a huge impact on their health itself. And then they can work on the rest of their diet and everything. And I really want to see that for people. And it might be a psychological thing as well, of like they don't see themselves like that. They don't think they're worthy of that. And that's difficult. But I'm not a counselor and stuff, so I can't quite go into that. But yeah, we were in terms of the eating and eating too much or eating too little. There's a funny thing with the raw vegan diet. It tends to be the case that people don't eat enough when they start off, but they think they're eating enough. They think they're eating as much as they can, and they don't want to eat any more. And they certainly don't want to eat any more fruit. They've just started to eat a lot of fruit, and they're like, oh, I've eaten loads of fruit today. I can't eat any more. And they're just not used to the diet yet. So they typically end up not eating enough, and they'll lose weight. After a couple of days, they don't have a lot of energy. Sometimes I see this at festivals and things when people aren't encouraged to eat enough. They'll be like, well, I didn't feel that much better doing this. I kind of still feel a bit tired. You're like, yeah, well, you weren't actually eating anywhere near enough food. That's like the problem. So you do kind of have to encourage people to eat more and explain to them why that is, and show them that. But in terms of, I never, like, Harley and Freely had a website, 30 bananas a day. I would try and make these big smoothies. I never got to 30. I rarely got to 30 bananas. I just never felt like I wanted to eat that much. I might have got to 2,500 calories a day, or 2,200 or 2,300 or something. But for many years, I had this idea that I should be having 3,000 plus calories a day, actually. And when I actually worked it out, how much I needed, it was only like 2,200 or something. It was way less than I thought. And I realized, like, I don't need to be trying to stuff my face and eat as much as I can all the time. But I do think it takes time on a raw vegan diet to learn to know how much to eat. And I would say I still kind of overeat at times. I can still gain weight on this diet. And sometimes we see these videos that are like vegan deterioration, and it's all these raw vegans that have lost loads of weight and lost way too much weight and done really long juice fasts and all this stuff, or just eaten fruit for years and just never learned how to eat enough fruit, but got on a train of eating just fruit and we're just losing weight. And you see these videos of all these really skinny people, and none of them are like particularly unhealthy. They're just really skinny, And I've never fallen into that camp, or maybe for a short period of time, but I've never really fell into that camp. But
yeah, how come we never make it into those videos, Ronnie? I'm so upset. Like, they always show like
they're never
friends
gonna
of
have
ours.
they're never gonna have you in one of those videos, that's for sure. I'm sorry, that's, as I said that, I thought that doesn't sound right, but I just mean that
Yeah. I'm never gonna look.
they're
I
not
love
gonna
to
put one
eat.
of your Instagram pictures in that video. Do you know what I mean? It's just like, okay, here's all these skinny people, here's Jeanette, and it's like, wait, I actually kind of want to look like that. Like, what's, that's what most women would be like. Nothing wrong with that. So, like, yeah, I think that
Those people
there's,
have eating disorders. I know so many people in the lifestyle
yeah,
that
that's a big
have
problem.
eating disorders, and they refuse to believe. Like, I go to Woodstock every year. I'll never miss it. And I speak to
Love
people all
it.
the time, my friends, people that I love, and I let them know, listen, you're not eating enough. I can see your spine. You're not eating enough.
Yeah.
I need you to, what is your favorite fruit? And I try to help people to, like, write down their favorite fruits and eat it more. And it's just like the fasting, and people are reading Arnold Ehret, which is one of my mentors. But like Ronnie said at the top of the hour, okay, Ronnie said it a long time ago in this interview. He said, like basically what you were saying is anybody can fast, and that's what Arnold Ehret said. Anybody can fast, right? Any fool can fast, but it takes a wise person to know how to eat after the fast. Okay, who cares if you can fast? Doing these water fasts, doing these juice cleanses are not a badge of honor. It's a badge of an eating disorder because you can't sustain it. You can't
Yes.
sustain it. And if it's not sustainable in the entire, like everything in the world, if it's not sustainable, it's not a good idea.
I would,
And
yeah, I mean, I would rather like way rather. I'm just thinking about this in my mind, like, if someone in my family, friend, whatever, someone that's not in this lifestyle, whatever, came to me and said, I've got, I've done a 30-day water, I did a 30-day water fast, I'd be like, okay, that's okay. If they said, I've been doing a plant-based diet, even with cooked food, been doing a healthy plant-based diet for a year, I'd be like, that's amazing. Do you know what I
dude,
mean?
even 30 days, even 30 days, Ronnie.
Well, even even 30 days, I would be like, that is fantastic, amazing. With water fast, I'm like, I mean, I've got a friend who I met up again with recently. He's going through a difficult time in his life. He's drinking a lot. He's having some issues, and but he was telling me about how he did a water fast a couple of years, like a 30-day water fast or 35 days, and I'm kind of like, but what's the point? Like, you're drinking like bottles of vodka now. Like, what is the point? Do you know what I mean? Like, get yourself on a consistent, healthy diet. And some of those people are the same people that will talk about, oh, the chemicals in the crops and the Monsanto and the GMOs and the bad evil stuff, and they're like consuming junk food all the time. You're like, what's the point in worrying about that stuff that you have no control over when you're not doing the stuff that you have control over? Like, why
So
are you
true.
eating garbage? So
It's so true. I
such
have
an
so many
annoying.
people that I know, Ronnie, that like I eat whatever fruit and vegetable I want, right? I don't limit myself. Yeah, I'll limit the nuts or the, avocados, but I won't limit any fruit or vegetables. So I have a friend who is telling me about, I shouldn't eat, I forgot what it was, but it was a fruit or vegetable, too much, whatever. And
Yeah.
they drink coffee and they're not raw. And it's just
Yeah.
like, guys, take advice from people that you want to be like, that people that
Right.
you want to like look like and feel like, and somebody that has the energy and weight and health and whatever of your dreams. Find out what they're doing, and if it's sustainable, do it. Okay, you'll know
Yeah.
it's sustainable if you feel like you can do this for the rest of your life. And if you're going to like constantly feel like deprived on a raw vegan diet, then I would highly recommend a healthy vegan diet instead, because if you're going to the raw vegan diet and you're like, oh, this is so hard, just stop. Just eat healthy. You can eat healthy, cooked vegan food. It's super
Yeah.
healthy. It's super sustainable. And if you're not loving the lifestyle, don't do it.
Yeah.
Okay.
There was a guy
Um,
that, yeah, there was a dude that came to Woodstock years ago that was 600 pounds. And,
wow.
and people were like, yeah, go raw and all this. And I was just like, this guy doesn't need to go raw. This guy needs to do any diet and eat it like in the right level. Like, he must be eating like 4,000, 5,000 calories a day to sustain that. So whatever he's doing is way out of line with what's normal. And he just needs to try and get back to something closer to normal. And he went on supposedly went on a raw vegan diet for a little bit or a vegan diet for a while and all that. But, you know, it's kind of, for some people, like, what they need to do is the step that's right for them in that moment, like, not to try and be a raw vegan or try and get, sometimes people are like trying to get attention in the raw vegan community or using it to get attention or whatever it is. It's like, none of that stuff's important. Like, you've got to do what's working for you and what's good for you, and do it for you, and do it because you're really in alignment with why being healthy is a good idea for you. Like, you have something to contribute to the world. You want to keep yourself alive to do that. You want to live a good long life. You want to be a good example to others in so many things, but not like, I want to get attention from others, or I want other people to think in this community to think I'm good or whatever. Like, I love to connect with raw vegans and people that do the same diet, but I don't throw out the people that are like that eat cooked food or whatever. I have friends that aren't vegans anymore, aren't raw vegans anymore. I still have time for them. Like we would definitely have an argument over diet if we were to start up like conversation on it. But if we're not talking about that, then there's no need to get into that. Um, and in general in life, like I just kind of ignore people when they bring up diet, and I just know people are going to be spreading information that's not right. I don't bother getting into like debates on it anymore. I just, if people ask for my advice, I'll maybe speak to them, but only if they're serious about it. And um, as like you're saying, like you can only help the people that are really looking for your help. And I just need to focus on like the people that are coming to the festival. I don't need to worry about what everyone else says about the festival or about the raw vegan diet. I just need to be concerned about those people and making sure that they have a good time and everything. Well, I don't have a lot of time left, Jeanette. Is there any last topics you want to go over, or?
There's a million more, Ronnie, but we'll wrap it up. So first of all, where can people get your book? Where can people find this amazing book that we barely even just scratched the surface of, Raw Vegan Myths Debunked?
Well, it'll come out on Amazon at some point, but I don't honestly have. I would say if you send me a message at info@fruitfest.co.uk, and I'll have a PDF copy. I don't have it up on the website yet. I'll put it up at some point, but I'm working on the second half of that. So I'll be putting it all together into one big thing and seeing what people think about it. But yeah, if anyone wants to send me a message, info@fruitfest.co.uk about anything, and I'll get back to you. Or join us on Fruity Fridays on a Friday night. And feel free to add, and you can ask any question you like, and we'll have different speakers. We have Anne Osborne this week, so that should be cool.
Wow. I'm interviewing Anne next week. Wow, look at us
She's
copying each
getting
other. Okay. Here's the last question, Ronnie, because I know you have to go. So Jasmine in the live chat, thank you guys for being here. Jasmine wanted to ask you a question. Isn't broccoli a hybrid? What about eating hybrids with being a raw vegan? Do you consume them? And can you tell the difference after consuming a hybrid fruit or vegetable?
Yeah, Jasmine. Well, that's a great question, and I feel like a very valid question. I think that a lot of people have maybe got that information from a guy called Dr. Sebi, potentially. I don't know if you've heard that from Dr. Sebi and some of the people that follow his information. But yeah, hybrid really just means that two different organisms or life forms have come together and created one, baby. So every human being is a hybrid, and basically most plants and most fruits and most vegetables are hybrids. And actually, most of the fruit and the vegetables we eat are not just hybrids, but they're clones. So it's much worse than that. It gets even worse. But this with broccoli, basically over time, it will have been broccoli and a lot of the other vegetables are not particularly close to what they were in the natural environment. So they have been selectively bred over time. Hybridized is not really the right word, but in a sense, they're talking about the process of selecting certain broccoli flowers or broccoli plants over time, breeding them together to get certain results, the same way that we've done with animals to get animals that are, dogs that are a certain size or shape or color or whatever. But they're not unhealthy for you, and certainly I wouldn't feel any different or taste any difference from a hybrid to something that was, and you basically broccoli in the wild, whatever that was, would be unedible and probably mildly poisonous. So is what we have in the supermarket today is a fantastic variety of fruits and vegetables that come from the experimentation, the farming, the selective breeding of many, many, many tens of thousands of farmers and human beings over the years who have contributed to this food supply that we have. And we're very lucky to have it. And I think we should be grateful that we have these really healthy foods available to us. if you enjoy broccoli, all I would say about all the fruits and vegetables in the supermarket and stuff, whatever you enjoy, go for it. You know, if you enjoy broccoli, if you enjoy cauliflower, I don't eat those very much, but it's not because I'm concerned about them being hybridized. So go towards the things that you enjoy. The things that you will eat more of are the things that you should definitely go towards. And if broccoli is it for you, then don't worry about it. You know, the alternative is what, to try and eat only wild foods. It's pretty much an impossibility to do that, and it's not very practical. It's not a great idea. So there's a little bit of incorrect information there when it comes to the hybridization. And so on a scientific level, everything's basically a hybrid. But they're probably talking about the selective breeding stuff, and everything to some degree has had that, including animal products, including all the cooked foods. So we shouldn't worry about it. We should be really glad of the foods that we've got access to.
You heard it here first, guys. Ronnie and I are both hybrids. And so you definitely want to check out Ronnie. He has a great YouTube channel, K Fruit Fest. I'll leave it below. He also has an amazing podcast called the Love Fruit Podcast, Fruity Fridays. You can find out all information. I'll leave some links below. Thank you so much, Ronnie, for being here, for speaking with me, for sharing your wealth of knowledge and information. And guys, if you like this video, give it a thumbs up, subscribe for more, and we will see you in the next episode, Ronnie. Let's do this again.
Yeah, and definitely I'll say to people that if you're starting off on this journey, you know, I know that Jeanette's saying that she's helping people and reaching out. Definitely reach out and get her advice and help. It will really help you with this. This is a difficult path to walk alone, and there are so many mistakes that it's very easy to make, and it will save you a lot of time, a lot of effort, a lot of stress to get the help of someone like Jeanette. So definitely reach out and make that happen.
Thank you, Ronnie. Thank you so much. And I think life is not meant to be navigated alone. So in general, you know what I mean? In general, seriously, we need to reach out more to people and just take advice from people you want to be like. So thank you so much, Ronnie.
Yeah. Thank you, Jeanette. Thank you.
Wait. What's the big mistake? You were going to say something.
I was just going to say, that's a big mistake that I continue to make, is not humbling myself to realize, wait, I need to go and speak to an expert. I need someone to tell me how to do this, you know. So I'm still making that mistake. I tried to figure it all out myself, and eventually I had to go and learn. And I'm glad I spent the time to do that.
And the more we know, the more we realize we don't know anything. So I thank you so much, Ronnie. Thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you next time. Bye.